Hello and welcome to GameSack. Now this week we're kind of talking about games that we perhaps expected a bit more from.
Yeah, games that we bought originally and read in magazines maybe and said, hey, that looks super awesome. I'll bet it's going to be great. When you brought it home, we were like, oh, this just isn't as what I thought it was going to be. So, I don't know. That's what we're going to start out with, and
we'll go from there.
Yeah, maybe you start, Joe.
Okay. A big disappointment for me was Super Monaco GP on the Genesis. Yeah, I know. How could I expect much from this game in the first place? Well, for one, the magazine advertisements that Sega ran showed off some truly awesome graphics. And EGM even gave it their first perfect 10 scores for any game ever. It had to be good. So when I finally played it, I find that the graphics are nowhere near what Sega was showing off in their ads. They were actually showing the arcade version. False advertising.
You don't say. Nintendo would never do anything like that, Joe, ever. They're good, clean, and wholesome, unlike Sega, your beloved Sega. Sheesh.
Oh yeah, Nintendo would never do anything bad ever, I'm sure. The graphics more resembled a Master System game on steroids. The gameplay wasn't all that exciting either. You have the Super Monaco GP mode, which basically is like the arcade where you qualify and then race on different tracks. But new to this version is the Championship mode where you can race for a team and you can choose rivals like Madonna and race for a season. This mode really doesn't do much for me because I'm more of an arcade guy than a sim guy. I always like smashing into the flag guy though. A perfect 10 game? No way, but it's certainly not horrible.
Mighty Final Fight on the NES isn't a bad game, but it's a bit disappointing in some respects. I remember thinking how great it would be to play Final Fight on my NES. Sure, the SNES version was great, but now I can have a version for the NES to add to my collection. Well, it's not so great as the game suffers graphically. Just when you're used to the pretty graphics on the SNES, you start playing this game and it just doesn't feel as rich in comparison.
You kind of sound surprised by that, Dave.
Well, I don't really care for the super deformed characters, and I have a feeling Capcom did this just to keep the sprites as small as possible to avoid slowdown issues. That's just my opinion, though.
Actually, that's not an opinion, Dave. It's an uneducated guess that's probably right.
I don't know how to react to that statement. Anyways, Joe, the game supports only one player and no co-op.
Hey, just like the Super Nintendo version.
Well, that's true, but also there can only be 3 characters on screen at once. Your character and 2 enemies. It gets kind of dull after a while and isn't very challenging. The boss characters are all pretty small and don't feel imposing at all. The music is average and a lot of the tunes seem to get stale rather quickly. Like I said, this is a fun game, but I was hoping for a little bit more from the series, especially seeing how well Double Dragon 2 was handled on the system.
Last Battle was a launch game for the Genesis. Before the system was launched, this game looked really cool. I mean, it had giant characters and some pretty good graphics, but what the magazines can't show you, however, is how the game plays. The game moves incredibly slow, and not only that, but you tend to bounce around when surrounded by enemies.
Oh god, I never liked this physics. It reminds me of Altered Beast and how I hated bouncing around in that game.
You even get tedious maze-like stages which are mind-numbing just simply due to the speed of the game. It does indeed have some big characters and some nice scrolling though. There's a story here, but it makes no sense whatsoever. I wanted you to meet Alyssa. Now you have the look of a hero. Okay. What's the matter? I want to become a hero. Everything they say is just so random. Eventually the game does get a bit better once you take off your shirt.
That's not why the game gets better, Joe.
Well, when that happens, your attacks suddenly have a much better distance, but the game still plods along. In Japan, this was a Fist of the North Star game. That version was much more bloody, and the US version censored it all out. Which would you rather play? Neither for me, thanks.
I didn't know Sega censored blood.
I think it was just this one time. Sega's cool.
I was hopeful that Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS would be fun with the new aspects of hang gliding and underwater racing. When I finally got my hands on this game and finished a couple cups, I was feeling, well, a little let down. I'll definitely say that the new tracks are all really well designed and would be fun to race on if it weren't for my main gripe about this game. There's no beating around the bush here. The underwater racing sucks. It sucks bad. Here you are cruising along at 150 cc's and then you come to the underwater portion of a track. You slow down as if you're really underwater. I mean, come on, racing games aren't supposed to slow down. You're supposed to keep a good consistent speed throughout the race. It's an arcade-style kart racer for crying out loud. It doesn't need the realism of underwater physics.
Yeah, that's the exciting part in a racing game, the speed. Take that away and it just breaks the flow.
And this flow is damn broken. My second gripe about this game is the choice of classic tracks. Nintendo has been giving us classic tracks in every Mario Kart game since the DS version. Basically, they're starting to run out of quality choices and are starting to have to pick from lesser tracks from the previous games. The hang gliding isn't as bad as the underwater portions, but if it came down to it, I'd rather them not be in this game as well. Other than these minor gripes, Mario Kart 7 is still a fairly playable racer, but I'd gladly pick Mario Kart DS over this one. Stormlord is basically a puzzle game on the Genesis. This is completely not what I was expecting at all. Back in 1990, before the internet, all I had was EGM and a few other eggs to get me information about upcoming games. When I first saw pics of Stormlord, I was like, Joe, check this out, man. Look at the graphics.
Yeah, I remember that. You were all excited about it because the magazine ad said, if you liked ghouls, Stormlord will blow you away. You actually believed it would be better than Ghouls and Ghosts, so you sold your NES and bought a Genesis just to get this game, right?
I cannot confirm that.
I remember someone saying they wanted to melt down a copy of Stormlord and throw it in your hair.
Oh, now that's just mean. Yeah, I was under the assumption that this was an action platformer game with hot fairy chicks strewn throughout. Well, I did get the hot fairy chicks, but the gameplay is more puzzle than action platform.
Yeah, and Sega made Razorsoft censor those hot fairy chicks because they were just too much hotness for us gamers to handle.
Sega censoring again? First blood and now boobs? I thought Nintendo was bad, but geez, Sega really is the bad one. Anyways, you've got to free the fairies from their bubbles. To do this, you must reverse back and forth across a level and collect keys to open doors or use a honey pot to move bees and all sorts of nonsense like this. If you don't plan out the level correctly, it's impossible to free all the fairies. I think maybe if I was expecting an action platformer game with a huge puzzle emphasis, I might not be as disappointed as I am.
Oh come on, this game is horribly programmed. Let's open this door. What the hell? I'm stuck! And don't you dare jump in here because there is literally no way out. There's not even an enemy to kill you, so you have to reset the game. Or how about this part? I don't have a key, so I can't go through this door and I can't go over it. So I should go all the way back over to the left, right? Nope. Can't get out here either. Screw this, I'm committing suicide.
I think the major problem is this is a port from a PC game, damn it.
Oh man, Joe, I still feel like an idiot for liking Stormlord.
As well you should, my friend. That's just a dumb-ass game. I can't believe you saw anything in it.
Me neither. It hurts.
Anyway, let's look at the other side of the coin at games that we were pleasantly surprised by. These games, we might have thought they would have been good. We might have thought they would have been mediocre, but they turned out a lot better than we thought.
They exceeded every expectation that we had. Well, not every expectation, but, they were better than we thought they would be.
Yeah, and let's take a look at some. Now, I know we've mentioned Road Rash on the Genesis before, but I've got to talk about it in this episode, at least really quick. I was never really impressed with Electronic Arts games back at the time, so I didn't think this one would be very good. It looked very undetailed, and given EA's Genesis track record back then, how good could it really be? I rented it and it had a super low frame rate, very few colors, and a twangy music track. But what it did have was excellent gameplay, and that's what really matters.
Hey, I kinda like that twangy soundtrack. It grows on you over time and defines this game from the other trash out there.
I love beating up on everyone else during the race, even cops. Or maybe just running down the street in any direction for no reason at all. This game was a very creative effort, and upon returning the rental copy the next day, I bought a full retail copy at the same store, and it's the same one I'm using to record the gameplay footage right now. They even ported Road Rash to the Sega Master System, and I was really surprised by this one too. I mean, just look how close it is to the Genesis version. Yeah, it's definitely slower and it looks kinda skinny, but I'm just amazed that they made it look this good and this smooth on a frickin' 8-bit system. If I had a game like this on the Master System back in the days before the Genesis, I would have busted a nut.
Super C isn't just a vitamin you take in the morning, it's the sequel to Contra on the NES.
I'm not laughing, Dave.
Oh, I thought it was a good joke. I really enjoyed Contra, so I was really happy when I read that a sequel was coming out. I was pleasantly surprised and I enjoyed this game a lot more than I thought I would. It's got all of the awesome action of the first game with some new twists. It still retains the side-scrolling levels and adds overhead levels, which I really liked. The only complaint here is that your bullets don't go the length of the screen, but it's a very minor complaint.
You know, I wonder if people enjoy these overhead levels more than the ones in Contra 3. Let us know.
The control of your character is very tight and I rarely had any issues. The difficulty comes in with the amount of enemies that the game throws at you and where they come from. I love this as it keeps your eyes moving. You'll need good spatial awareness to stay alive. Oh, and you only get 3 lives and very few continues, so be prepared to start over a lot. There is a code to help ease things up a bit, which gives you 10 lives per continue, but that still might not be enough. The music is outstanding. I always loved the Konami sound in the 8-bit days. I still love this game very much and pull it down to play from time to time. Get this game if you haven't yet. You won't be disappointed.
Herzog Zwei on the Genesis was a definite surprise for me. Before the US version came out, I rented the Japanese version for $1 and I had no idea what to expect. All I knew was that Technosoft done good on Thunder Force 2. I started the game and I was flying around and it certainly wasn't a shooter. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But I started to figure things out. Your fighter uses fuel as it flies around and it can even transform into a mech if need be. Use up all your fuel and you respawn back at your main base. You need to protect your base as well as occupy the neutral bases to use to refuel and also to build new units. You build all sorts of stuff and give them specific commands, all of which cost money, which fortunately accumulates at all times, just like real life. Your goal is to destroy the enemy's base before he destroys yours. This is one of the first real-time strategy games, if not the first, at least on a home console. It's the sequel to Herzog, which was only released on Japanese computers, but it was also made by Technosoft and set the groundwork for this amazing game.
Even after you said all that, Joe, I still don't think I understand how to play this game.
Well, my explanation here probably isn't as in-depth as it should be, but the game really isn't overly complicated. It'll take you maybe 10 or 15 minutes to learn if you have the manual. Playing with the computer is cool, but there's also a 2-player mode as well with a split screen. The graphics are plenty good and most of the music is absolutely outstanding.
That is very, very true.
Yeah, and you also want to keep the sound on because the sound effects can alert you to what's going on outside your field of view. Herzog Zwei is very fun. It can actually get quite addictive. Unfortunately, EGM gave this game some pretty harsh scores, and that probably turned a lot of people away. But I'm glad that now, over 20 years later, people are finally starting to appreciate this game.
Motor Tune Grand Prix for the PlayStation is one fantastic racing game. After years of playing Mario Kart on the SNES, I was ready to see what a cartoon-style racer would be like in 3D. I was really surprised at how fun this game was. The art style at the time was really cool. Just playing it again here brings back a lot of fond memories. I really like the designs and the atmosphere of each track. All of them are really colorful and fun to race on. The race cars bend and stretch left and right as you race along your way. Even the controls are simple and work really well. A little fun fact about this game is that the developers who made this game went on to make the Gran Turismo series, a series that I never cared for. They should have stuck with making more games like this one.
Another fun fact is that this is actually Motor Tune Grand Prix 2. The first game never left Japan, so they just dropped the 2 when they released it over here.
I played this game a lot throughout the PS1's life cycle, and nothing really ever came close to matching the fun I had with this one.
Bigger! Neo Turf Masters on the Neo Geo is a game that still blows me away today. Not because of the graphics or anything, but by simply how fun it is to play. I originally bought Neo Turf Masters for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and even there I was surprised how fun it was. I had no clue at the time that there was a version for the real Neo Geo. I tried it via emulation and I just had to have it. It's since come out on a few of the Neo Geo collection discs. It's a golf game with a completely arcade approach. You have remaining holes instead of lives, and each time you finish a hole over par, you lose a hole rather than a life. Lose all of your holes and the game is over. If you want, you can continue so you can try to get into more holes. The energy level in this game is just really high. The music is incredible and even the voices rock. I love the lady who informs you when you get the ball on the green. She's sometimes a bit confusing between holes though.
Player 1 will follow up with advantage, we hope. This is Nancy's report.
Oh, what was that? The other voices are also full of energy.
Bingo!
All of this makes it fun and exciting to actually play a friggin' golf game. It's not drab, quiet, and boring like golf simulators for senior citizens. So would you rather play this? Or this?
Good shot!
Neo Turf Masters is one of my favorite Neo Geo games.
Mine too, and I don't even own a Neo Geo.
Good shot!
Well, what can I say about Castlevania Dracula X on the SNES? At the time that this game came out, all the hoopla was about Dracula X Rondo of Blood on the PC Engine. Everybody and their mom were saying that this game was a dumbed down version of the PC Engine version, and you know what? I believe that talk.
Well, it's true. It's only a shadow of the PC Engine CD version. Come on, Dave.
I'm a Castlevania nut, so I knew I was going to buy this on day one, and I did. It's obviously a variant of the PC Engine version, but it's not a direct port. It has the same play mechanics like being able to jump off stairs and having a choice, albeit brief, of sub-weapons. The character and enemy designs are lifted from the PC Engine version, as are many of the levels, but it has its own unique levels too. This version's backgrounds have more of a watercolor look to them, and I absolutely adore it.
Yeah, it looks more friendly and less foreboding.
You know I don't do well with scary stuff, Joe. As we all know, the SNES can't do CD quality music, so all the songs have been rearranged. I personally think this is one great soundtrack. A lot of the music is classic Konami, so you know it's been composed with great care. Don't let the naysayers talk you out of experiencing this one. It's a great game that can stand on its own as a solid Castlevania experience. It is far better than I expected, and I was blown away by this game.
It's always so nice when a game turns out better than you expected, Dave. And
yeah.
you know, I don't care what you think, but you really need to try Herzog's Way. I think you'd like it if you got into it.
I will try that, Joe. I will make you a promise.
You will not try it, I guarantee it.
I will. It's just real-time strategy games are not really my cup of tea,
Yeah,
you know?
they're
Even
too
though that's
cerebral
not,
for him. They're too cerebral.
Exactly.
He's not very bright. Anyway, what games that you guys have played either didn't live up to your expectations or exceeded them, and why did they do that? Let us know. We'd like to read those comments.
Yes, we do. And thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
You know what I had high expectations for, Dave, about GameSack, but I was just really let down by?
What's that?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, really, you.
That's funny, Joe. And I suppose you're the part that's surprisingly good, huh?
Well, yeah, actually I am.
That's hilarious. You know what? It's just so funny that I'm just going to do this.